Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on 7 ways to monetize your health and wellness app during a downturn. So thank you for everyone who has joined. And again, apologies for last week when we had some trouble with people coming in. So hopefully this time around, we will be able to give you a lot more information about what we're doing. And so hold on a second, let me do this. Okay, so in general, and what I'll be talking about, as you know, is what are the best business models that work during a downturn? What are the changes in consumer behavior? We'll then go into the best customer acquisition strategies, how you can change your positioning, communication, and offerings to deal with uncertainty, and then the 7 most efficient monetization strategies. So mainly the whole idea of this webinar is to help you define or better refine your business model to increase lifetime value and fuel your growth. So let's start with what are the business models that work during a recession. So first of all, I had mentioned there were 3. Actually, as we analyzed further, there's actually a 4th that I will be also talking about. So the first one is very obvious, and most people believe it's the only one around for health apps, and that is the app subscription. So it's a direct-to-consumer business model where you actually deliver an app in exchange for an app subscription. And this has worked very well for things such as meditation apps or fitness apps. However, for nutrition, it is kind of tricky. And it's tricky because of the following. There's the different market segments in direct-to-consumer are very narrow. And what I mean by narrow is it's very difficult to find those people who want to use a carnivore diet to increase muscle mass, or that want to use a vegan diet to solve a specific condition like heart disease. So whatever it is, those niches are intersections of several other things. So people normally want to have their own, their apps basically mimic where they already are. And in that sense, direct-to-consumer really comes down to how can you reduce your customer acquisition costs. And reducing customer acquisition costs is the #1, I would say, trigger that allows you to actually reduce the price for everyone or be able to be competitive. It's a business model competition. And within that business model competition, direct-to-consumer, low customer acquisition costs really comes from, and what we've seen is among all of our customers that go direct-to-consumer, it's those who have the best marketing teams that can bring in the lowest cost of acquisition are the ones that are succeeding. Now, in that sense, there's only one major industry that we've seen over and over again as the only one that actually works for direct-to-consumer, and that is generally the weight loss industry. So it's interesting that there's a lot of like different industries around health apps, but very few really can sustain, because of the depth of the market, can sustain a direct-to-consumer subscription app. And what we've seen is that is in relation to weight loss, as I was saying, very niche applications managed to do very well. So you may remember that we had a few months ago, we had Reverse Health talking with us at one of our webinars. They are one of our customers. And what they have done is they are now over $1 million a month in revenue for their weight loss for menopause app. And it's a niche, but that niche is in the weight loss category, which is very deep, as I was saying. And all the other customers that we've seen trying to go direct to consumer and only having an app subscription that are not in the weight loss app category have had a much tougher time in generating momentum. Now, the other type of category or business model that works are those on the other side, the other extreme, which are the B2B customers. And B2B is really about healthcare. So on the other side of direct to consumer, we have the healthcare companies, and it all boils down to having a CPT code, being reimbursed. So it's less about customer acquisition, because yes, you do have to make partnerships with different health systems and with insurance companies, but it's only when you can be, the only way to scale this effectively is to have a reimbursement code. And that basically comes down to matching something that already exists. As you know, the cycles to get CPT codes are very, very lengthy. One very good example of this is the diabetes prevention program from the CDC. The CDC DPP has already is reimbursable for preventing diabetes for pre-diabetic people. It gives you around $400 over the course of 3 months. It starts with just signing people up, then having them come back, and then at the end of that process by actually helping them lose weight or reduce their hemoglobin A1C. And either way, you get up to $400 per person, and that is reimbursable. The CDC DPP has been popular enough. I think that's the biggest success story in the B2B or healthcare sector, mainly because there's 1,500 CDC DPP providers already. Very few have an app. Like you know that there's been great successes like Omada Health, where they created an app and actually demonstrated that it was as good as in person. And they've been able to actually get reimbursed for CDC DPP. So I think that's a good example of things that can work in that category. And evidently there's nutrition support, there's other CPT codes that are now being used by our customers where they actually are getting reimbursed. That is a long, lengthy process, and it's not compatible with direct to consumer. The app has to be different. The interaction has to be different. Even the guidelines you have to use are different, mainly because you are constrained by a whole set of different rules in the healthcare sector. Whereas when you're direct to consumer, you can actually target people based on a more relaxed set of rules. So those are the first two. Now, the third type of business model we've seen work very well, and I would say it's a majority of our successful customers are doing some level of using health professionals as their distribution mechanism. Why is this not direct to consumer? Mainly because in direct to consumer, what I am assuming is that you are getting the consumer directly by, in this case, buying ads and getting those ads to delivering those ads. But it's when you have, and in this case, when you have a specific revenue share or affiliate marketing percentage for the health professional, they will bring the customers to you. So this model works very well. We've seen it work several times in where you have everything from personal trainers or health coaches, nutritionists, or registered or certified dietitians, or any type of practitioner. When you are delivering through health professionals, you have that distribution model. Now, health professionals, this B2P, I will call it, business to professional, basically it has a lot of advantages. It lowers your customer acquisition costs and amplifies your customer acquisition costs, and your customer really becomes the person in the middle. And this person in the middle is a professional who wants to give their users a better service. We have many customers that are doing this for gyms or personal trainers, or they're doing it for health coaches, or for clinics, or for nutrition practices, etc. So that is a very good way to scale. It's a very good way to generate momentum. And it's certainly a very interesting model to pursue. And then last but not least, there is a fourth business model that we've seen work. and which has to do with different monetization strategies I'll be talking about in a moment, but it's the companion app, where the app is not a revenue generator in and of itself, but it's something that basically can help you capture secondary revenue streams. What I mean by that is, if you have a product like everything from a wearable or a lab test or supplements, and that is your main revenue stream, and you are already there, what you can do is basically capture secondary revenue streams by having an app which follows people through the use of your product or service, and throughout that process you can actually use the app as a way to upsell them into other things that are compatible with what they have. And I'll go into that kind of revenue stream in a moment. But basically, those are the four main business models that we've seen work. So it's to recap, it's a direct-to-consumer, where your main focus is to lower your customer acquisition cost. It's a B2B, where basically you want to match it with a B2B, like healthcare, or B2. They actually call it B2P as well, the patient, but whatever. It's a CPT code is a main thing you want to have there. And business to professional, where basically what you want to do is have a group of professionals where you're adding value in a very specific way through your program, and they become both your customers and your distributors for additional revenue. And finally, the companion app, when you already have a product, service, wearable, or lab test, food, etc., that is what you are selling or supplement. So which things don't work? And something that is very interesting is a lot of people fall into the freemium trap. Basically, if we make an app for free and we deliver it to the world, eventually we'll get a few of them to pay. That is, in theory, good. But in practice, we haven't seen a single company actually make money out of a freemium app. So if your only revenue stream is going to be, for instance, an app subscription, and you want to have people join for free, and then some of them will upgrade into premium, that is a very difficult thing to do. Why? Because you're paying for every customer that comes into your freemium, and you're diluting the number of people who would otherwise pay by giving them for free. They test it out. And here we have to go one step back. What are the differences between a health app, which basically has nutrition at its core, for instance, from an app such as a meditation app? And meditation apps, people get the benefit without using it. And what I mean by that is, people are buying, and in case of a meditation app or a gym subscription, they're buying a better version of themselves. They want to have the app, or they want to have the subscription to the app or the gym, because it makes them feel they're doing something for themselves, makes them feel that they are a better person. However, in nutrition apps, people don't feel a better person by just having an app. Don't feel they're better because the app actually is reminding them that they still continue to eat wrong. The app is reminding them that they should be eating differently, or sleeping more, or so it is very difficult for an app to basically maintain users. So users, when they go into a lifestyle change, which is what we are trying to sell mostly with health apps, a lifestyle change requires us to basically go against a lot of things we've already trained ourselves to do, or are part of our habits, part of our upbringing in some cases, our belief system, and what we like in life. And it's going against those things that is very hard. Now, you can do it, and we can have a separate webinar on specifically which things are the best to maintain and retain those customers and help them actually be successful. However, for the time being, what I would say is most people in health apps that have nutrition, for instance, as a basis, will want to be able to do it in the shortest time possible. So think of it more as journeys. In one case, you're buying a better version of yourself. In the case of health apps that are trying to have a health outcome, what you're buying is journeys. And I think the journey analogy is very good, because if you think about any journey or any travel you've ever done, if you're transporting yourself from where you are to where you want to be, the shorter the journey, the more you're willing to pay. And the more convenient the journey, the more you're willing to pay. So the best journeys are very short, very convenient, very easy to do, and get you to the outcome. So that means that your app will generally be short timed. Actually, a good example is we had at a time an app where we had Dr. William Davis, the author of Wheat Belly. So he had a program with us, and we were selling a 1-year subscription to the app for $100. And we had less than 1% conversion rate. As soon as we changed that to a 10-day grain detox and said it costs $100 for the 10-grain detox, and we give you for free a year subscription, two things happened. We went from less than a 1% conversion rate to 17% conversion rate with the same exact offering. And we went from a few days, like 10 days of lifetime value, or actually retention, to 9 months on average. So what happened is people basically not only stayed longer, even though they were buying the 10-day subscription, but they also were willing to pay more because the trip was shorter. They had to change their lifestyle for only 10 days, and that sounded much better than changing their, and then they actually end up staying in and repeating it every month, whatever. But the most important thing is you're buying these journeys, and the shorter, more convenient the journey is, the better. So freemium doesn't work because of that. Premium, generally, you already pay the cost to bring the person in, then they stay there for free, they try it out for a few, they realize it's harder than what they thought, it's not as easy as what they thought, or it's going to be longer than what they thought, and all those things have them churn and not convert. So the best thing you can do if you are going to sell an app in a subscription is to eliminate the free and just give a money back guarantee. And people will still go in, most people will stay for long enough, will get some value out of it, and will not churn. And that way you get to charge them upfront. So that's a good way of thinking about this. Now, we are going through a big economic downturn. And many people believe, including myself, that this economic downturn will get worse. It hasn't really touched employment. It will. And as unemployment rises, we will have a lot of people without the money to pay for things. Now, what happens generally during a downturn is that if you go to Maslow's pyramid, like the things in the top start to get pushed down. So people move to those things that are basic necessities. That is food, that is health, that is shelter. And those basic necessities are very well covered with the health app. And actually, I would argue that as you lose, in the United States at least, when you lose your job, you lose insurance. And insurance is so expensive that nobody without a job can actually afford, or very few people can afford it. So most people will be looking for different health alternatives, which opens up a great opportunity going forward for everyone in the direct-to-consumer health, or any health alternative that doesn't have to go through insurance. So I think that direct-to-consumer and the business to professional, those two will continue to work, and people will actually move from higher cost healthcare alternatives into direct-to-consumer health alternatives. So that is the first thing that will change. We will be seeing more people willing to try out things in a different way, including, in many cases, practitioners and doctors. So that is the first thing that you will see in terms of consumer. Now, the other part, which is very important, is as we go through this process, uncertainty rises, and there will be a, it will take more time for people to actually decide upon something. So one of the things that makes people take more time is uncertainty. Uncertainty reduces the time, reduces the speed at which we decide things. So that changes the way we position, we communicate, and we generate offerings to our customers, mainly in the form of reducing their upfront risk. So what you want to be doing in the way you communicate with your users or your potential users or potential is reduce the upfront risk. So right now there's a lot of models that are very are moving a lot of the cost to the front. What I mean by that is you pay for a full year up front, you pay for different time. And as uncertainty rises, and people are wanting an ability to full money back guarantee. They want to have an ability to pay over time. They want to know that they can continue to deliver things in a way that works for them, and to receive things, sorry, not deliver, receive things that work for them, but pay as they go, so that if they do run out of money, they can cancel. So these changes will change your business model. But at the end of the day, what you are doing is financing people through the process. And I think that those who can adapt to reducing the upfront risk of users will be in a better position as we go into the downturn. So you want to start providing value very fast, and you want to actually retain the customers through continuing to add value over time. So that is very well suited for subscription models, where you can add value over time, and we can talk about that in a moment. But it's also very good for when you have products that are sold. Instead of charging the full product load up front, you can charge for it as people progress. So it does change even the health journey itself and the way you talk about it, so that people are, or the end consumer or the end user is actually receiving as much value and understanding their journey as closely as possible. So something that becomes fundamental when you are shifting risk to yourself as a business and moving people forward in time to start paying back is that you need to retain better. And retention is something that we've noticed is not a technology problem. So yes, technology, in some cases, if you have an app that is crashing or is not working properly, that will reduce your retention. However, the main difference in retention is less about features, and it's, I would say, 90% about content. And that is something that, as domain experts, you already have within your arsenal. You can very easily deliver better content than others. And we've seen the difference of in content with the exact same app, two different types of content. One has retention of 2-3 days in average. The other one has retention of 9 months or more. So the difference there is, how are you defining the journey? How are you keeping people engaged? And that can be done through various forms. So there's a different, as you know, if you're using a white label app from Suggestic, we have different behavioral science kind of like streak systems that people like checking out. But most importantly, what you want is to increase value over time. You have to be accumulating data. So connecting wearables, which we do as well, connecting before and after lab tests. Those things create value over time by increasing your knowledge of yourself and feeling that you have this value that has accumulated. The other thing that increases value over time is if you are continuously uploading new content. And those work very well when you have a permanent lifestyle change. So there's two types of lifestyle change that you will be delivering. One lifestyle change is basically a small journey. Like for instance, you're doing a FODMAP diet for 3 weeks while you get rid of your um, what is this? FODMAP is for SIBO or SIFO. So your small intestine bacterial overgrowth or fungal overgrowth. As you're doing that, if you're doing a 3-week, that is a very difficult lifestyle change. So you want to get back to normal as soon as you can. So in those cases, people don't want to learn a lot. They want to just do it. They will follow a very scripted meal plan, and they want to get out of it as soon as they can. Whereas there's other changes that are much more like for instance, somebody going into becoming vegan or becoming I want to say keto, Mediterranean, whatever you're moving toward, and you want to keep eating that way in the future. If you have, or you're using blood glucose control, like a continuous glucose monitor, and to figure out how you should be eating, you want to monitor over a long time. Creating new content that is continuously teaching people and learning about their own bodies and how they could even improve further, that is useful. And the third type of way in which you can increase retention, which is going to be fundamental for this next crisis, is by having interactions with people. So we've seen that those apps that we have that are using our complete telehealth or telewellness features have, in average, 5 times more retention than those that don't. And that has to do with people are interacting with a coach or with a practitioner, even if it's once every 2 weeks or once a month for 15 minutes, that is better than nothing. And it has to do with the fact that one thing we're paying for in any health journey is we're paying for help to become accountable, to finish this. We know it's difficult to change. We've all tried to change one thing or another, and we've always failed, or we generally fail. It's only when we have someone else that we can be accountable to and that can guide us through those difficult moments that we actually know that we can succeed. So part of what we're paying, and this is very important to bring into your business model, part of what your end users are paying for is accountability. It's someone that can keep them on track, that's someone who can help them make it more convenient, easier. Like, what do I do if I eat out at a restaurant? How can I can't exercise in the morning. So what can I do that actually keeps me on track and helps me get to the outcome? So basically those 3 things help you increase retention. So now go into how do you monetize retention further. And this is very interesting. And there's several ways in which we can monetize retention. And evidently some of them are intrinsic to the business model above. Like if you are doing an app subscription, a CPT code, or or that is in itself a way to monetize. However, once we go, for instance, to the companion app or the B2P, or even either of the other ones, there's other ways in which we can also monetize effectively. So the monetization can be in the form of making it. So there's 3 things people pay for. We pay for personalization, something that is more relevant to where I am and what I believe. We pay for guidance, something that actually helps me get to the other side as easily as possible. And we pay for convenience. Again, it has to do with making it super easy to get from where I am to where I want to be. And so these 3 things, when we're paying for personalization, we want two types of personalization. We want personalization to our own bodies, in which case wearables and labs are very good at determining how our body, if we are exercising or not, where our heart rate variability is, what our glucose levels are, or what deficiencies do I have in terms of nutrients. or which allergies or sensitivities. So those are labs and wearables are something we're willing to pay for. And we've seen many examples of very successful delivery that includes a lab or a wearable or connection to a wearable as a way to personalize to individuals. But that is half of the problem. The other part that you have to also use and also personalize toward is the ability for the person to match it with their own belief system and what they think they can achieve. And this is normally all together. So I want to go into a lifestyle change that I foresee myself being able to do. So if you tell me you have to go raw vegan and all your problems will go away, probably other problems will go away, but I have a new problem, which is I don't think I like raw vegan, and probably I will never do that, even if it were super healthy for me. Because first, I'm not as unhealthy, and second, it's I've seen people that have terminal conditions that are unable to change their lifestyle to improve their conditions. Even if they're told that that would help them, they just decide over an experimental chemotherapy above just trying to change their diet. And it has to do with, it is something we either believe we cannot do. Sometimes medicine is an easier path because it's like we just let go and have someone else do the work for us. So making it as easy as possible, or perceiving it's easy, is very important. And we perceive it's easy because it matches what we want. For instance, I was talking with a person who, for his heart disease, had decided to go plant-based or fully vegan. And there's a lot of information. There's good science behind vegan for reversing heart disease. But I was curious because I had heard a lot of people going the opposite direction of going keto and mostly eliminating carbs as the way to get there. Both of them are low carb, but there's a version that is not, that is actually more similar to paleo or keto. And he basically told me that it was easier for him he had evaluated both options. And because his wife was already vegetarian, for him it was easier to go vegan than to go in the other direction. So that was super interesting. It was basically he was choosing one over the other because it was easier for him to implement in his life. So I think that we have to be mindful of personalization also includes matching what type of dietary intervention am I willing or able to do, and how long do I want to do it for, and what are my main goals by doing it. Some people will want to use vegan for like plant-based to increase endurance in their training, and some others will use plant-based to save animals. And it's the same plant-based, but they have different goals and different perspectives. And by understanding where people are coming from, you can better personalize to their needs in the form of different journeys that are slightly different. Even if you're all vegan or all low carb, whatever your dietary intervention is, the fact that you actually personalize it to their specific outcomes helps you retain better and helps you charge for more. And this is the important piece. Going back to monetization strategies, people pay more for personalization. The second thing that I was saying that also allows people to increase the money they pay, the value they see in what you deliver, is guidance itself. So people want to be guided, and the shorter the journey, the more guidance they want. So if you are like in a guided tour, you only have one day to see all of Rome. You want a guided tour to just go to the places you need to go and get the information you want and have as much of an experience in that short period. However, if you're going to stay in Rome for a month, probably you don't want a guided tour that will rush you through everything. You will want to go and spend time in the local place. So it does change. Guidance is very important for short journeys, and for longer journeys, what you want is, again, you want to know tips, you want to understand, you want a community that can keep you accountable. And so in guidance, there's 3 different types of guidance that you can implement that help you increase monetization. So people are willing to pay for content. You've seen that in docuseries, you've seen that people are paying for as much content as they think they will need. And the more content, the better. And so the docuseries send you at your home like a bunch of, like, I'm thinking it's 10 or 20 DVDs. And the DVD version actually sells better than twice as expensive. And half people pay for having DVDs in their house, even if they have exact same access in a digital format. So people want to have that content, want to have it in a permanent way, want to have access to it, and are willing to pay for access to content. The second thing within content or guidance that you have is basically the ability for you to have either one-to-ones or one-to-manys, where your coaches, your nutritionists, your trainers, your practitioners actually talk with the individual, and they can ask questions and they can interact. So that is an important piece of what people are willing to pay for. They're willing to pay for consultation. They're willing to pay. So actually, if you think about, for instance, apps like Noom is, first, it's accessing and addressing specific weight loss, which we know by now that it's a very good market, a niche. Second, they're selling you coaching. They're not selling you nutrition, they're selling you coaching. You will have a coach to interact with you. And third, within that coaches and interactions, they actually made it so they would reduce costs by using AI to answer most of your questions. So they've actually reduced their cost of having a person there. And one thing that actually works for them very well is they are not in the business of nutrition. If you think about it, Noom is more about teaching you how to manage your hunger. So it's really a psychology app. It's really about how do you manage your hunger? How do you avoid triggers? How do you stop eating when you shouldn't? And it's not even telling you what you should eat. It's just telling you how to stop eating, how to work through the cravings. And so that works for some people for some time, but it won't work for everyone forever. So I think that it's important to acknowledge that every journey has a beginning and an end, and you have to be very focused on that. Then, in terms of that is from the perspective of the guidance itself. The third part of guidance is if you are going to have community guidance. And I think that is the most valuable type of guidance, because when you have a community, they start answering the questions for others, and they start building accountability for others, and they make it easier for others. And it reduces your cost of actually having to have, like Noom, a lot of 3,000 coaches. You can actually have your users become your coaches. Like Whole30, for instance, is a very good example of someone who basically has a whole community around their product, which actually helps the product be easier to deliver and to maintain at a low cost. So those are the 3 ways in which you can give guidance. The last piece, so we've talked about personalization that people pay more for, guidance that people pay more for, finally convenience. And convenience has also different parts of it. Convenience normally has to do with making it easier for me to eat what I should be eating. And so how do we make it super easy? We found that, for instance, in nutrition-related apps and health programs, what you want to do is, but to make it very easy, is instead of like, if anyone has tried to follow a FODMAP diet or an elimination diet, it's very hard. So some people will do and go through it and feel better. However, it has to be a short period. Whole30 is a very good example. It's an elimination diet. And the name itself is because it's only 30 days. And 30 days, people say, well, I'll do this for 30 days. And once they get the result, they feel better, more energetic, lower brain fog, etc. Sometimes they actually change their lifestyle going forward. But the main idea is that you do it for 30 days. You then see which things work for you, which don't. And that helps you change your diet for the future. Now, making it super easy on the flip side of that is you want to eliminate things. People are good eliminating one, maximum two things. So if you say for the next 2 weeks, you will eliminate grain, or you will eliminate dairy, or you will eliminate pro-inflammatory food. Well, actually, that's too broad. Specific foods like milk. So basically, you say which things you will eliminate, and then you supplement the rest. So instead of having them eat like we did one, my wife and I, a program that required us to eat, I think it was 9 cups of vegetables a day. That is hard. That is hard, and it has it was 7 or 9, or I don't know, a lot of cups of vegetables a day, and it changed our whole program. And we did it for a couple of months, but then it was super hard to maintain, because it's hard to eat that many vegetables if you're not actually. However, if you supplement part of that, then you can increase the nutrients that people need, reduce those ingredients that people should not have and that are impacting their health. And you can do those two things together and make it more convenient for individuals. So, and you can then do those, and then a month later, you do a different couple too, and you can progress over time. But the main idea is you want it to be very convenient. So how do you make it convenient and make more money out of it? The most important thing is you can deliver on the supplements, the probiotics, and the food. So one thing that we are opening up a beta test. We already, I think we have 1 spot left before the end of year for food delivery. So we will, in several of our apps, we will be, and actually 5 of our apps, we will be delivering food in the form of groceries. They will be able to select out of any grocery product in the US or any grocery store in the US, and get that delivered based on the shopping list we have in our meal planner. So the meal planner generates a meal plan for the person. They click, they generate a shopping list, they click, they get it delivered. The second thing that we will have as part of that is delivery of supplements, also the same interface. If you need certain supplements, they get out of the grocery stores, they are delivered also to you. And third, we will be delivering from restaurants. We will have 800,000 restaurants delivering food directly to you, again, based on your particular meal plan restrictions. So as you know, you created a rule set within our platform, and that rule set filters out which things you can or cannot have. So in summary, the most efficient monetization strategies is when you get those 3 things. You deliver more personalization. People are paying for personalization. You deliver guidance. People are paying for guidance, and you deliver supplements, food, and other. Yeah, I think those supplements and foods as a way to make it more convenient. And actually, the trick and the interesting thing is, if you bind those 3 things together into a health journey, people are willing to pay more for the combination than for each of them individually. Because if you think about it, supplements are kind of a commodity. You'll give them your price, and they'll probably say, "Oh, I can get it cheaper next door in my grocery store." If you sell them a lab test, they will shop for a more convenient lab test, probably online. If you give them guidance, probably they'll go to YouTube. However, if you bind those 3 things together into a unified health journey, all of a sudden it's unique and it's differentiated, and nobody else can actually access it. So that's when you get the ability to deliver on this much, much easier. So from that perspective, when you deliver these things, you can actually monetize all these strategies simultaneously. And it looks like different health journeys. And these health journeys, remember to make them as short as possible. That increases convenience. As easy as possible. That increases also value perception. and by integrating those three things into your own health program and your delivery, it makes it so much easier to deliver value and monetize that value with your customers. So to summarize everything that we've said, basically you have different types of business models that you can use, all of them direct to consumer, B2B into healthcare, business B2P as in professionals, and the companion app to capture these secondary revenue streams that I was talking about. All of them can use these monetization strategies to add value in the form of journeys. I think that the minimum viable product that most people want is a combination of these things. They want something that personalizes to them, that guides them through the process, and that gives us as much convenience as possible. So that minimum viable product is complex because it has moving pieces like telehealth. It has moving pieces like the delivery of supplements or food. It has moving pieces like personalizations or labs or wearables. So that is basically what our platform has been building from day one. We are now getting closer to the full spectrum, and since we are now going to start delivering food, supplements, and restaurant meals, and that will kind of close the whole cycle. We already have labs and wearables. We already have tele-wellness and content guidance and community chat. So it's all coming in together so that you can deliver better value in a better way. We've also been building a calculator that we're using. We're working on a second version of that calculator, but basically it allows you to see how much it would cost you to build on top of our API, how much it would cost you to use a white label app from Suggestic, and how much money will you make if you use any of these three different, actually 4 different business models for your app. So with that, I'll just stop there and see if there's any additional questions that I could help answer. So I have one here. So it's asking me about Suggestic. What is our business model? How do we make money, and how do we help you make money? Okay, so I think that how do we help you make money? I think it's that is something that I've already spoken about. It's really, but actually, let me say it from Suggestic's business model is we are the technology enabler. We are the API that allows you to build on top of us, and we charge for access to that API. That increases the speed at which you can deliver these things by helping you basically create much faster your own app or integrate all of this functionality faster into your own product or service. And the white label side of it is actually faster. What we've seen is the average time to build on top of our API is, if you already have an app and it's included in it, it's 4 to 6 months. If it's starting from scratch, is 9 to 15 months, what we've seen. And that depends on the size of the team and the complexity of the app. In terms of the white label, that can be ready within weeks or even days, but it really has to do with creating. There's a parallel thing, which is what you have to create, which is your content, your own journey, so to speak. And that content, the rule sets, that has to be delivered and defined by the domain experts. Now, how does it, the business model for us is we charge you for the access to the API or the delivery of the white label app and access to the telehealth and telewellness portal. So that's how we work around this. That's how we make money. And how do we help you make money is basically by allowing you to monetize all these pieces and deliver them either in a direct-to-consumer B2P or B2B or as an additional revenue stream within your app. So that is basically what I would say. Any other questions? And if not, I think we're almost done for time. So I will leave it there. Thank you everyone for joining, and it's been a wonderful chatting with all of you. And have a great rest of your week, and take good care. Bye.